Channon Rose is no longer vegan after 10 years. She is, I don't think, a vegan YouTuber. She has her main channel, which it doesn't look like she posts to anymore, or at least hasn't posted to in a few months. And then she has her vlogs channel, which she updates regularly. It seems like every few days. And there's lots of, well, I won't show it, but lots of thumbnails with her kid or kids. I'm not familiar with her, and I'm not gonna lie, this is not a good first impression for me. Many of you know how I feel about family vlogging. I have 3 kids myself, and I do not show them on this channel, but I'm gonna try to put that aside before we watch this. A lot of you wanted me to watch this, and apparently it's quite a bit different than what I usually see in terms of ex-vegans. You know, the whole I ate eggs because the universe told me to, our bodies can't process plant nutrients, saturated fat is good actually. Okay, looks like she's got a bunch of books, including a gluten-free vegan recipe book. So that'll be interesting to see, if she is denouncing veganism in this video. I don't know. Would you still sell the book? I've talked about that before with some of these ex-vegans who go on to denounce veganism as unhealthy, and yet they still have all these videos promoting veganism, talking about their vegan diet, their raw vegan diet or whatever, and they're still monetized. Yeah, a little, shady, but it's just their journey, right?
This is how fancy we are. The lighting is so horrible in here, but it is what it is. This is my tripod right now.
Can't relate. I think I posted a video a while ago where it was just a stack of diaper boxes. Hey, I mean, it's pretty level, so good job.
I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease, and it's really been hitting me hard, which is I haven't been posting very much on YouTube because I've been very sick. I am literally losing so much hair that I'm starting to legit go bald in certain places.
Okay, I don't want to discount what she's saying. I can't tell anything there, and I just say that as, in case she watches this or anyone who's dealing with hair loss. Sometimes it seems worse to you than it actually is, or maybe you're worried that other people are noticing, and probably people aren't. I think her hair looks great. I never would have looked at it and said, oh my God, she's losing hair. That doesn't mean she's not. She sees herself probably every single day and is analyzing and knows how much hair she's lost. I'm very familiar with this experience. As a 4-month postpartum mom, the hair loss has finally stopped, and I think is back to normal pre-pregnancy levels. And I know how much hair I lost, and yet I just did a stream a few days ago and someone was commenting me on my hair, and I was like, thank you, I've lost it. I don't know why I felt the need to point that out. It might not be as bad as she thinks it is, and I'm just saying that so maybe she feels a little better, because I think her hair looks great. Other people think my hair looks great, even though I'm like, what?
I have been on cortisol, DHEA gel, which is a hormone. I got on my thyroid medicine finally. I'm on B12 injections. I mean, you name it, I've done it, and I'm doing it to try to get better and healthy.
I'm really glad to hear that she's not anti-medication. Often with an issue like this, with a thyroid issue, you need to be on medication. Thyroid medication is not easy. It certainly has side effects, but I'm really glad to hear that she's not just trying to fix this via diet.
But I've just been getting sicker and sicker and sicker, to the point where I can't be a good mom and a good wife. I can't work. It's just gotten to the point where it's affecting my daily life, in a really negative way. And obviously, I can't live like that. And it got to a point where I just said, I am willing to do anything right now to feel better. I can't live like this. I'm just so sick, and I can't get out of bed. I literally have no energy. It just feels like someone came and sucked the life out of me.
I don't have any personal, kind of, I would say the last few months of this last pregnancy, I even said to a loved one who has chronic fatigue, I do one simple thing, and I have to lay on the couch for 2 hours. And she was like, yeah, that's chronic fatigue. That's what it's like. Once I had my babies and I came home from the hospital, and it was hard. Partner and I have 2 different sleeping schedules because it's just easier than having to wake up with the baby constantly. So I would sleep at night, he would sleep during the day. And so when I'm up with the baby, I'm also up with my other 2 little kids. And it was hard. There was so much to do, but I felt a million times better than when I was pregnant and could barely do anything.
And you guys don't see it ever because, for one, I haven't like filmed myself sick, and two, I don't have the energy to even lift the camera or even lift my arm to film. So when I'm the best is like what you see now. And right now I also feel horrible.
That's something that I think a lot of people don't understand about chronic fatigue, also about depression, anxiety, mood disorders. Number one, we often hide how we're feeling. Number two, there are good days and bad. And so maybe you see someone on their good days, and so you think, well, how did it, like, do they really have that condition, or is it really that bad because they seem fine? Well, maybe you're seeing them on a good day. Or, oh, I found out so-and-so has depression. Really? They seem like they're always so happy. Well, maybe they're hiding it because they don't want to seem like super sad all the time. And when it comes to filming, right? I mean, you're probably not going to film when you're feeling really terrible. You're going to film yourself at your best.
Starting like a week ago, I started, well, first it was many conversations with my doctor saying like, we think that you should add fish and chicken into your diet and see how you feel. And, you know, I was like, is there anything else I can do? Like, can I take more supplements, whatever? My body is not absorbing the vitamins like it's supposed to.
So normally that would make me go, oh, okay. The whole, I mean, I said at the beginning of this video, our body can't absorb plants, but this is literally a condition that affects absorption of nutrients. It's really common to have deficiencies in vitamin B12 and numerous other nutrients. So taking a B12 supplement, like many vegans, vegetarians, and just lots of people in general would do, and that would work just fine, won't work for someone with Hashimoto. Sometimes that's not always how the condition works. It can be different from person to person in terms of the symptoms you have, but a B12 deficiency and other deficiencies are certainly not uncommon.
But like, this is another thing, like I feel like I have some sort of a cold right now and like a headache and just very run down. Like I feel like I'm getting sick. No one else is sick. And so I know it's just like my body.
It's really gross that she's like messing with her nose. Part of me is like, oh my God, stop, just pause the video. But also, you know, she's being real. Like, I kind of appreciate how comfortable she is in front of the camera, but also I don't.
It started out for health issues because my doctor was like, you know, why don't you try cutting out pork and dairy? And like back then I was like, oh, I'll just go vegan, you know, it'll be easier. I remember the first day I went vegan, I cried because I didn't know like what to eat, and I thought like I was gonna die. Food is like your basic need, right? Like your survival. And I felt like I couldn't eat anything. I didn't know what I could eat. I wasn't educated about veganism. I didn't know the difference between vegetarian and vegan. Like I just knew nothing, and I didn't know anybody that was vegan, and it just wasn't as popular as it is now, you know, or as prevalent, I should say. I don't know. Being vegan is not popular, at least not for me and the people I'm around, because when I told my family that I was no longer vegan anymore, they were actually excited. Like they were happy, which I think is like so funny.
I'm going to be charitable and assume that's because she was really sick and they're happy that she's getting healthier, that she really needs to eat not just plants, and that's why they're happy, and not just because, I don't know. I mean, some people are like that. They really don't like people being vegan. We don't want you to be different type of thing.
I was doing IV vitamins so that I didn't have to stop being vegan, and like a bunch of other things, but just my body right now and my health is the most important thing. And if I don't have my health, I don't have anything. And so if my doctor, and it wasn't just one doctor, it was multiple doctors that said, we think that you should at least try eating some fish and chicken in your diet and adding it in to see how you feel. And let's see where your levels are at. And it got to the point where my hair was literally, you guys, falling out in clumps. Like my hair had been falling out slowly, and so I was kind of getting used to it, but then it started literally coming out in chunks, and I was like, whoa, like this is not good, you know, like my body is clearly. And also like my gray hair, which is like coming in right here, I was like talking to my doctor, and he's like, at your age you shouldn't have that much gray hair coming in, and it's only in one spot, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I hope that's not actually the way he said it. I hope she's misremembering. Now, Hashimoto's, I believe, does have a connection to gray hair. B12 deficiency definitely is linked to gray hair. And again, it can be common to have a B12 deficiency with Hashimoto's. So it makes sense that there's a link there, and that could absolutely be the cause of her gray hair, but not like definitely. There are certainly people getting that much gray hair in at her age, which I'm guessing she's in her 30s, early 30s. That's definitely happening to people without Hashimoto, without a B12 deficiency. So hopefully he didn't say it like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did, because some doctors fucking suck. That's why I really love my kid's pediatrician. He is so good at just being careful and like qualifying things. He was really good with, I talked about having, I think, my second kid having withdrawal symptoms from my SSRI that I was on while pregnant. And I think that's why maybe they had trouble eating soon after they were born, and it took them a little bit longer to get back up to their birth weight. And at the time, I said that at their appointments, and he was like, you don't know that for sure. Like, don't, beat yourself up over it. There's a very good chance that's not why. And just making me feel better. Like, look, they are gaining weight. It's a little bit slower, but that's okay. Like, nothing's wrong. And it's important that you're healthy and happy and not depressed, right? And not super anxious. And then with my last baby, with my third baby, I was still just really worried about that. So I decided to get off of my medication for the last month of pregnancy so that there wouldn't be any withdrawal symptoms. If there were, who knows? But this baby had no trouble eating. And so I brought that up at one of their early appointments to our pediatrician. And he, again, was just like, you don't know if that's why. And you could tell was like very concerned that I had gotten off my medication and kept asking me like, are you okay though? Like, are you doing okay? Point is, I really appreciate him. I would recommend him if I felt comfortable doing so. I mean, when we first started going to him, he lived where we used to live. We could just walk there. This is before we had a car. And then he moved to a different location that was much farther. And whatever, like we took the Max here. It was a long trip with our little baby. We took it all the way to him because he's that great. He even said at my 6-year-old's appointment recently was like, oh, are you, what kind of foods are you eating? Oh, you're eating lots of plants, right? You're like a plant eating dinosaur, right? So it was just so cute that he, he's not a vegan pediatrician or anything. And I don't know, I really appreciated that.
Why he thinks that I have gray hair prematurely, which is like a B12 deficiency. And I didn't know that you could get gray hair from being B12 deficient. And I had been supplementing it, but my body wasn't absorbing it. So it was making me really sick and not have a lot of energy. So basically now I have to give myself weekly B12 injections. I need to get better for my kids and my husband and myself. And so after a lot of like, no, I'm not gonna not be vegan. I'm vegan. That's part of who I am. Like, everyone knows me as being vegan, like, how am I gonna not be vegan? Like, that's part of my identity. Like, and so it was very difficult for me to make this decision. The day that I went vegan, I cried. The day that I stopped being vegan, I cried. It like makes me kind of emotional because, like, I really care about the planet. I really care about animals, and I really have to disassociate like where the food is now that I'm eating on my plate, because I know, like, and it's hard to unknow those things. Like, if I don't have to contribute to like that, I don't want to, but like it put me in like a really difficult position being as sick as I am, and my health is the most important thing. And so I made the very difficult decision for me to no longer be.
Okay, I need a break. I'm not crying, you're crying. Is it crying if you don't have any like visible tears, right? If your eyes just get watery, it's not crying. I can tell that's really upsetting for her. This is annoying. Like, I'm just getting mad. Okay, be mad, not sad. I can actually talk. I can tell it's really upsetting for her, as it would be for me in that situation. I just hope she's not, beating herself up too much. This isn't the universe told me to eat eggs. I'm going to use that example forever. I'm sorry, but it's just going to happen. This is a condition that does not always work well with veganism. It's, similar to IBS. It's probably going to vary person to person. I'm sure there are people who have found a vegan diet to be very helpful, have found the inflammatory effects to be very helpful with their Hashimoto's, but that's not always going to be the case, particularly when it comes to absorption issues, possibly gluten as well. Gluten can be an issue, and gluten can be an important food. Gluten-containing foods can be an important food on a vegan diet, so removing that can be difficult. Soy possibly could be an issue. Some doctors do recommend limiting or even avoiding soy, which, again, very important food for vegans. Again, IBS, many people with Hashimoto's have IBS. I don't want people to feel like they have to be vegan at any cost and to jump through such hoops to remain vegan. It's like, I wish I could remember who it was, a YouTuber who had all of these allergies, and she was just like, it's really hard for me to be vegan and to be vegan healthfully. And also, I mean, part of what makes veganism worth promoting, I believe, because there are other issues that are very, very important. Part of what makes veganism one of those very important issues is because it's something that the majority of us can do. It's something that has such a big impact, particularly when it comes to harm reduction. And it's something that is within most of our grasps because we can just replace the meat and the eggs and shit with other foods. But if you can't easily do that, then it reduces the value of veganism. It's kind of like promoting certain aspects of recycling. It's not that easy. It's not that valuable, particularly when it comes to plastic recycling, right? You have all these containers that say, oh, you can recycle them, but then you look up in your area and no, actually you can't. There's only a few things that you can recycle, and only if you don't put the lids on, and only if they're this size, and only if they're perfectly clean. And if you don't do that and it's put into the waste stream, well, you've just ruined all of the other plastic that's with that plastic. Cool. All that to say, for me, it's not vegan at all costs. And of course, the most important thing is just reducing, right? And I'm sure she can absolutely reduce animal product consumption without avoiding it entirely and still have a really big impact. So I hope she's not beating herself up over this, is my point.
I have been eating tuna and chicken, and what else have I had? I've had tuna and chicken and like some turkey. And this is going to sound really bad, but I feel a lot better. A lot better. I don't think I was getting, or I don't think my body was absorbing the plant protein as well as it does animal protein. And I think this is different for everybody, right? Like everybody's bodies are different, and some people thrive on a plant-based diet. You have to make sure you're eating the right things. You have to be like a healthy vegan. And I wasn't like a super healthy vegan. I was eating junk food and processed stuff. And I tried eating more whole foods, but the things, because of my Hashimoto's, that I was trying to eat like you're not supposed to eat, and so it was making it really difficult for me. So like the plant-based things that like are healthy for you, when you have Hashimoto's, for me it was like hurting my stomach and making me not feel well after I ate it. And so like I said, I think everybody's different. Everybody's bodies are different. You can have Hashimoto's and Addison's disease like I do and thrive on a plant-based diet, and your body can love it because your body's able to like absorb all the nutrients and minerals and vitamins.
I believe there is like a recipe blogger maybe who's vegan and has Hashimoto's and has stayed vegan and has talked about, what she eats, what she avoids. But yeah, like I said before, this is something that is just, it's going to vary person to person. And it sounds like she does have IBS or IBS-like symptoms along with it. You can check out my video on IBS and veganism for more information. But basically, some people with IBS go vegan and it's so helpful, and some people go vegan and it makes things worse. It just depends on, sometimes it's fiber, right? Some people find insoluble fiber really helpful for their condition. Some people, it totally wrecks their stomach. If you're in that latter case, it's gonna make veganism a lot harder. Now, the feeling better, eating meat, I don't know how long she's been doing this for. I don't know why specifically she chose chicken and, would she say, turkey and tuna. Maybe that's just easier for her mentally. I don't know. There might be issues with Hashimoto and egg and dairy. And also, when she talked about getting B12 injections, it sounded like that was a new thing. That can make you feel better pretty quickly. So it could just be the B12 injections that are making her feel a lot better. Again, multiple doctors apparently have told her to start eating meat. That doesn't mean they're necessarily right, but again, this is a condition where it could make sense, where getting all of your nutrition from plants is harder on your body than getting some of that from animal protein.
Whole rest of the family is still vegan. Travis, the kids, they all are still strict vegans.
That's nice to hear. I hope they can stick with it. I think one of the things that really helps with me, as much as I would like to say, I'm going to be vegan forever, that's just who I am, it would be silly to deny that my partner also being vegan helps, right? So I really hope that her husband and her kids, the kids are going to do what parents are going to do, right? But I really hope her husband is able to stay vegan, because, it's probably going to be harder given that now she's, having animal products in the house. It's like when one person gains weight or starts eating a lot of sweets and stuff, it's hard to not participate, right?
So yeah, that is why I'm no longer vegan, and it's been a short while. It's literally been like maybe a week or 2 weeks. I don't know. I haven't like counted the exact days, but I really, like I said, have to disassociate like my food, and I just pretend like it's vegan even though it's not, so that I can feel better. And I have to tell you guys, like, I feel a lot better.
So yeah, if it's really only been a week to 2 weeks, I'm pretty skeptical that anything has happened there, unless she has been getting B12 injections. Then that would make sense. That can actually help you feel a lot better pretty quickly if you are actually deficient, and it sounds like she was very deficient. So yeah, that makes sense. But if you're not deficient, like, please don't, these fucking shot places, what do you even call them, where they're like, get your testosterone shots, get your B12 shots for energy. Ugh. If you're not deficient, if you don't have a condition that makes it hard to absorb B12, if you're not lacking intrinsic factor, Hashimoto, something like that, you don't need injections. Basically, if your doctor doesn't tell you you need injections, you don't need injections. Just take a supplement. If you even need a supplement, which if you're vegan, you do. So get on that if you're not already.
And it's really funny because so many of you guys in the comments, like in the past, have said like, it's probably your vegan diet, like, of why you're not feeling good and you need to eat meat and, you know, all these different things. And you guys were right.
Oh God, don't give those people a win. Like, that, again, doesn't mean the diet has done anything, doesn't mean her eating animal products for 1 to 2 weeks has done anything so far. Maybe if she was having lots of bloating or something, right? That's something that can change very, very quickly and can be pretty dramatic if you change your diet, if you're removing whatever was causing that digestive upset. Anyone who's saying, oh, it's probably your diet, like, oh my God, stop. It's fine to say, hey, have you considered something like that? But if you're just like, oh, it's your vegan diet, oh my God, get out of here. I posted on Instagram a photo of hummus, cucumber, and broccoli sandwich. And I said, this is what my kid wanted. And it looks so good. I made one for me. And then I said, also, they've been like so hungry. They're going through a crazy growth spurt, I guess. They grew a lot actually over the last year. But yeah, this person's response was like, well, it's because you don't feed them real food or something like I posted a picture of whole wheat bread and hummus and broccoli. That's not real food. What? I think I said something mean, probably back. I just have no patience for people who are just anti-vegan. I don't care if you question. I don't care if you're not convinced that veganism is good for kids. That's totally fine. We can all have different viewpoints there. But it's the like, oh, your kid's dealing with this, or this normal thing is happening. Wow, you have a 6-year-old who's hungry all the time. It has to be because of their vegan diet.
I was being stubborn and didn't want to change my diet. But when you get really freaking sick and you have a choice of being able to change your diet around, you're stupid not to.
I don't really like that. Sometimes it's a false choice, right? Everyone says that there's a diet change to cure everything, even cancer. So I don't know. I would be careful if I were her saying stuff like that. And also, she's only been doing this for a week to 2 weeks, and she's already talking like she's cured, which is not, that's not how that works. There's no evidence that you can change your diet and it's gonna like totally cure your thyroid issues, cure your Hashimoto's. And as she said, she's on medication. So yeah, please don't give the impression to people that they can just change their diet and they're cured 9 times out of 10. No. Maybe it can help treat, right? Maybe you can feel better. Maybe it can reduce your symptoms. But unless you're talking about like plaque, unless you're talking about atherosclerosis, which you can actually reverse through diet, otherwise, no, you're probably not going to reverse your condition. And you're certainly not stupid just because you don't change your diet to try to treat the condition. And I don't think she was stupid to wait as long as she did. I'm not sure how long she waited, but it sounded like she was trying other things. So, I mean, she said she was being stubborn. Maybe she was. It's not like she was just being lazy. She didn't want to eat animals because she doesn't want to eat animals, right? There is ethical consideration there. So it is a little bit different than just a doctor saying, hey, you're overweight and you're headed towards a heart attack. Maybe let's start eating better, right? This is a little bit different situation.
I have gained weight, like a good amount of weight. Like my clothes aren't fitting anymore. I feel horrible.
I don't know if that was needed weight or not. With Hashimoto's, weight gain is very common, like unwanted weight gain. So I don't know if she's talking about that's due to her condition or if it's due to her change in diet. which again can make you feel better if you needed to gain weight. I mean, that's something that can happen pretty quickly and make you feel better.
I don't know, I like to be like positive and good vibes, and when you guys watch my videos, like I want you to leave feeling like happy and inspired and like excited, and I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer and be like, I'm sick and like, you know.
And I don't want people to feel like they can't talk about it because it has to do with veganism and, you know, I don't know, you shouldn't say something bad about veganism or whatever. That's why I hesitate to do these sorts of videos, even though I've done like 5 of them in the last month. It's just worked out that way. I don't want it to have a chilling effect. Do you know what I mean? Where people just don't talk about it. But at the same time, when people are saying saturated fat's good and veganism is actually unhealthy, like, you know, okay, that's the video. She's got a reaction, I think, from her sister at the end here. I think I'm just gonna not watch that in case it's, you know, I don't know, unsavory. I don't really want to see that. So that was the video. Yeah, whoever said this was different, I agree. It is different than, you know, the ex-vegan videos I've been watching recently and just for the most part, right, on this channel. I hope she starts to feel better. Again, just a little experience I've had with chronic fatigue. It's terrible. To everyone, I would caution against doing multiple things at once unless your doctor has instructed you to do that, because, you know, getting B12 injections and changing your diet, that's a lot to do at one time. It can be hard to tell what's doing what. And to always remember, just because you make a change and you feel better or you feel worse, it doesn't mean that whatever you did is doing that. Placebo, nocebo are pretty amazing. Like, our brains are really amazing and dumb. And again, you don't have to eat only plants to make a difference. Oysters I didn't talk about, but if you do have deficiencies in B12, in iron, in zinc, which I believe all of those can be common on Hashimoto's, that's a good choice. It's very rich in those nutrients and is also a much better choice from an animal sentience perspective, animal welfare perspective. They are very likely not feeling creatures. Offsetting too, that's something that possibly she could do to try to lessen the harm, is to give the amount of money she spends on animal products to an effective animal charity, something like Faunalytics. That's certainly what I would do if I were in that position. Oh, and cultured meat, right? Once we have cultured meat, hopefully this will not be an issue. Hopefully Shannon and other people would choose that instead of cruel meat. Anyway, thank you guys. Hope you liked the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you so much to my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. And I will have a new video soon. Bye. One time I watched a video from one of those anti-vegan YouTube channels. I think it was about Ellen Fisher's kids. It was insane. The stuff they were trying to point out, like these little normal things that the kids were doing and trying to say it was because of their diet. I almost reported it. It was so uncomfortable to watch. Like, that's, you know, you need therapy, right? There's something so wrong there. When your personality is, I don't like vegans and think they're evil, you've lost it. You've failed at life.